If you're someone that's experiencing a lack of motivation, or you have a desire that you're having trouble converting into reality from imagination to reality, then this video is for you. A big problem that I see that prevents people from achieving their goals is that they don't feel the motivation that's needed to grind and work hard enough. Almost everybody wants to live a good and successful life, but where they get stuck is with the motivational aspect. They'll start with good intentions, but they just don't follow through. So a question that I'm asking is this something that's really their own doing? Is it really their fault that they have a lack of motivation, or that they have this desire that they can't translate into applied effort? So as someone who studies brain science, I can say that it's not completely the individual's fault. The reason I say this is because most people just don't understand how the brain works, and it's important to wrap your head around how motivation is linked to desire so that you can appreciate how both of them create success. To begin with, I need to explain something about brain science that's going to make all this make sense. Neurotransmitters, which are chemicals in the brain that allow neurons to communicate between each other, is key in understanding motivation and desire. So there's different neurotransmitters, and different neurotransmitters have different effects on mood, behavior, and thinking. Dopamine, which is one of these neurotransmitters, is responsible for both motivation and desire. So most people think that it's just this risk and reward chemical, but dopamine actually is super intertwined with behavior. You see, dopamine originates in some of the phylogenetically oldest parts of the brain, in the brainstem to be exact, which is also called the lizard brain for those that understand the triune brain theory. The cells that produce dopamine they project and they touch two different parts of the brain, the basal ganglia and the prefrontal cortex. So the basal ganglia is located deep inside the brain, and it's involved with integrating feeling with movement and carrying out habituated tasks. So what this means is that when dopamine actually interacts with this part of the brain, it produces the motivation and the willingness to move or behave in the ways that you need to achieve a certain desire. So dopamine interacts with this brain circuit that deals with habits and behavior and movement, and when it's stimulated with dopamine, we just get that motivational feeling to actually carry out the task. The second part of the brain that dopamine interacts with is called the prefrontal cortex, which is actually right behind the forehead here, and it's involved with planning, decision making, and logic. So when dopamine reaches this area, we become uncompromising or just more difficult to argue with in our pursuit of a particular goal. So we plan on how to obtain it. We become unreasonable because we're driven by the emotional motivation aspect of dopamine from the basal ganglia. So now you have this concert where the basal ganglia is pushing you to move, to behave, and dopamine is pushing your logical planning center of the brain to actually think about, okay, how am I going to achieve this? So the combination of these two things creates a recipe for success. And this is why it's important to have a strong why and also a strong desire for you to succeed. These work on both aspects of dopamine, both the planning, logical aspect and the motivational behavior aspect. To further illustrate how dopamine impacts behavior, take individuals who are living with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease actually involves the death of neurons in the substantia nigra, which is one of the main areas in the brainstem that produces dopamine. With the death of this small group of neurons, victims or patients experience rigidity, unanimated facial expressions, short shuffling movements, and uncoordinated movements with tremors. So it's truly a debilitating disease, and one of the treatments for Parkinson's disease is to take L-Dopa, which is a precursor to dopamine. So being unmotivated, not willing to take action, being sluggish in your behavior can actually be attributed to a lack of dopamine driving your decision making. Remember, you need both a strong desire and a strong why. So creating a strong desire involves Giving time and energy to a dream, a goal, a passion, or an objective that you have. What is something that is picking at you at the back of your mind? What is calling you to do something? Give it energy, attach emotions to that thought, and try to make your emotions and thoughts coexist. You can even close your eyes and concentrate on it more, and whenever that desire, rises in you, think things like, what, that would be amazing to achieve, or I can do this, I deserve this. You have to think these things to kind of stroke the flame. Every time you think of the thought, attach these associations and feelings to it, and in the future the desire will be automatic and have all of these different associations already tied to them. The next thing that you want to do is you want to ask yourself, why is this desire important? What will the desire help you achieve that will make it worth it? Make all the effort, all the energy that you're going to spend worth it. The reason has to be emotional and important to you. So taking these steps are important and necessary to create that burning desire. The reason the why is important is because you have to have an argument in your brain so that you continue when you're confronted with obstacles or negative people or negative scenarios. Although the prefrontal cortex is logical by nature, it is still heavily influenced by emotions, which is why it's influenced by dopamine. So a strong why that is emotional not only fuels action, it also fuels decision making to favor that action. So once you have both the desire and the strong why, action and work start becoming effortless. Your prefrontal cortex, which is also known as the CEO of the mind, and the basal ganglia, which is known kind of as the realm of the subconscious, will actually be working in unison. They'll be working together. Your entire brain is essentially acting in harmony, and it wants to achieve that objective. And that's how dopamine works. So what do you guys think about this video? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Do you already have a burning desire already? Please share it in the comments and let's discuss. Thank you.